Smart. ChatGPT has given a very, very smart disclaimer. The most overrated whiskey brand according to you.
DeepSeek is saying the server is busy, please try again later.
DeepSeek took the AI world by storm and sent shivers down the world stock market. And in this video, we are going to test DeepSeek against its existing competitors, ChatGPT and Gemini.
Hi everyone, Swati and Vinayak from the Dram Club. And let's get started with quizzing the three platforms to see what are the kind of responses that we get when it comes to the whiskey world.
And before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
So Vinayak, what's the first question you want me to ask?
Which is the oldest distillery in Scotland?
So according to ChatGPT, the title of the Scotland's oldest licensed distillery is generally attributed to the Glenturret. According to DeepSeek also, the distillery is Glenturret. It has its official records dating back to 1775. And according to Gemini also, of course they have given a disclaimer. It says, while there's some debate, the Glenturret is widely considered as the oldest working distillery in Scotland, established in 1763. And it says Glenturret has official records dating back to this year. So the year in ChatGPT and DeepSeek is the same. Google Gemini says 1763 and ChatGPT and DeepSeek say 1775.
But broadly, all of them are correct. In terms of having Glenturret as the oldest distillery in Scotland.
Correct.
Okay. Now but this is where the AI models, because the factual information,
Yes.
I think they will all be pretty much at par.
Yeah. But ChatGPT also has a disclaimer. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.
Let's take the next question.
Yeah.
Blended Scotch whiskey versus single malt Scotch whiskey, which is better?
Weighing preferences. I'm analyzing the complexities of single malt and blends, emphasizing subjective preferences, cost considerations, and the influence of budget on choosing the right whiskey. Then it gives a lot of detail about what single malt Scotch whiskey is and what blended Scotch whiskey is. It's obviously not giving an opinion, but it says, which one should you choose? For exploration and complexity, you should lean towards single malt. And for balance and accessibility, you should pick blended Scotch whiskies. Ultimately, better is subjective when it comes to whiskey. Many enthusiasts enjoy both types of whiskey for different reasons.
Smart answer.
It's very political.
Answered like a pro, a whiskey pro.
Diplomat, I would say. Gemini also starts with a disclaimer. The question of whether blended Scotch whiskey or single malt Scotch whiskey is better is entirely subjective and depends on personal preferences. Imagine single malt as a fine wine from a specific vineyard, showcasing the unique terroir and the grape varietal. Blended whiskey is like a well-crafted champagne, blending grapes from different vineyards to create consistent and enjoyable experience. Ultimately, the best way to decide is to try both.
Interesting. Again, I think both of them are playing safe, but which is fair.
Yeah,
Let's see what DeepSeek.
And so DeepSeek says whether blended Scotch whiskey or single malt Scotch whiskey is better is subjective and depends on personal preferences. Each has its own unique characteristics and appeal. And single malt, if you enjoy exploring unique region-specific flavors, and blended Scotch whiskey if you prefer smoother, more balanced, consistent flavor profile.
Okay. No controversies here
Yeah.
again. Let's ask something controversial. Do you like Indian single malt?
I'm exploring Indian single malt whiskey, noting its soaring popularity and distinctive qualities now widely acknowledged. Grasping innovation, Indian single malts like Amrut and Paul John are gaining critical acclaim for their innovative flavor profiles, which blend local ingredients, climate influences, offering a compelling alternative to the traditional Scotch.
Boring answers.
Yeah. Gemini, it talks about the characteristics of Indian single malt and it talks about some of the popular brands, Amrut, Paul John, Rampur, Indri. While I, as a large language model, cannot personally taste or enjoy whiskey, I can access and process the information about Indian single malts and understand why they are gaining popularity. So that was Gemini, and now DeepSeek. DeepSeek has given a rather detailed answer. As an AI, I don't have personal preferences or ability to taste, but I can certainly share some insights about Indian single malts. They've talked about climate, about the awards that they are winning, and about 4 different brands. So Amrut, Paul John, Rampur and Indri. And what is a unique characteristic of Indian single malts? Rich and fruity notes, spicy undertones, a smooth and velvety mouthfeel.
So what's interesting here is ChatGPT didn't have mention of Idri.
Yes.
It had only Amrut and Paul John.
Correct.
While Gemini and DeepSeek both covered Paul John, Amrut, Indri and Rampur as well. So
yes.
the model is trained to a lot more recent information.
That's correct.
Okay. Baiju versus Indian Single Malt, which is better?
ChatGPT says, of course, it has given a lot of details, but then it says there isn't a definitive better option overall. It depends on your interest and palate. Gemini says, Gemini still, and it's also linked a lot of history of Baiju and everything, which is very interesting. You can also look at the references. Ultimately, the best way to decide is to do some research and try both if possible. See if you can find tasting notes and reviews of different Baijus or Indian Single Malts to get a better sense of their flavor profile. DeepSeek says it talks about Baiju's flavor profile, Indian Single Malt's flavor profile. It has also recommended some brands to try. Recommendation for beginners. So it is actually giving a specific recommendation. Start with an Indian Single Malt like Amrut Fusion or Paul John Brilliance. Once you're comfortable with whiskey and want to explore something entirely different, you can venture into the world of Baiju.
So here, I mean, some of the stuff that we saw on social media that DeepSeek was non-committal to anything that was Indian, which is definitely...
Which is not true, because it has actually said you start with Indian Single Malt and it's not downright pushing Baiju, which is a Chinese product.
Yes. Interesting. What next? The most overrated whiskey brand according to you. And please give a objective answer, no diplomacy.
So ChatGPT says, of course it is within the considerations, it has laid that disclaimers and everything, but it says, many critics point to Johnnie Walker Blue Label as being overrated, arguing that its high price and heavy marketing outpace the actual sensory experience. However, note that overrated is inherently subjective.
Smart. ChatGPT has given a very, very smart disclaimer.
So Gemini has a different brand. This is a tough one as overrated is subjective. But if I had to pick one based on the balance of hype versus what's in the bottle, I'd say the Macallan. They've mastered marketing and have a reputation for luxury, but their core range often doesn't live up to the price tag compared to other whiskies in the same category. DeepSeek is saying the server is busy, please try again later. So DeepSeek has gone with the same name as ChatGPT. Johnnie Walker Blue Label is often considered overrated. While it's marketed as a premium luxurious whiskey, many enthusiasts find its flavor profile underwhelming for the high price tag. It's smooth and well balanced, but lacks the complexity and uniqueness expected at its price point. There are better options available for same or lower costs.
Interesting.
So some of the popular names, Johnnie Walker
and Macallan. Okay, which is not surprising.
Yeah.
What's the whiskey equivalent of pineapple on pizza? And give one brand. Again, no subjective answers.
All right, so we have our answers. ChatGPT, tracing whiskey preferences. I'm mapping how divisive tastes can be akin to whiskey with varied acclaim, like Johnnie Walker Red Label's mixed reviews. It also says Lafroy, its bold peaty character divides opinion, much like pineapple on pizza, love it or hate it. So
Smart.
It's taken a metaphorical approach.
But I think this is a good answer.
Yeah.
Lafroy, because it's divisive, or most peated whiskies are divisive.
Correct.
So fair. 10 on 10 to ChatGPT for Lafroy. I think this is an answer that I would have also probably given.
Okay, so Gemini has gone a step ahead. Gemini has said Lafroy with Coca-Cola. Peaty Scotch plus sweet cola equal to a divisive combo that some love and others hate.
Does anyone add Coke to Lafroy?
I have no idea.
Please, I hope you guys don't add Coke to your Lafroy. It will taste disgusting. Nothing against Coke and whiskey, but I think Lafroy and Coke is a disgusting combination.
Okay, the DeepSeek server is again busy. Let's retry. Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey is a whiskey equivalent of pineapple on pizza. Divisive, unconventional, and loved by some, but hated by others for its bold, sweet, and polarizing flavor.
Agree. Loved by some, hated by most.
Yes.
Okay, let's ask the best and the worst whiskey cocktail.
So ChatGPT says, evaluating whiskey cocktails, I'm gathering perspective on subjective answers for the best and the worst. Old fashioned emerges to be the top choice. while rusty nail frequently ranks poorly. What does Gemini say? Best old fashioned, hands down. Worst whiskey sour when poorly made.
Okay, so both of them agree on the best cocktail, which is the old fashioned so
Yes.
far. Okay, agree. Even my favorite cocktail is old fashioned. Oh, come on.
DeepSeek server
This is again busy.
seems to be.
The last question. One whiskey for the rest of your life.
Okay, so what does ChatGPT say? Choosing the ideal whiskey. Options include Glenmorangie Original 10-year-old, Lagavulin 16. I like ChatGPT already. And the Glenfiddich 12-year-old.
Okay.
Obviously, they have evaluated a lot of options. Weighing all the options, ChatGPT has recommended Glenfiddich 12-year-old.
Okay.
Gemini, this is a tough one. But if I had to choose one whiskey to drink for the rest of my days, it would be the Springbank 15. That's a great answer.
Gemini, you've been trained very well. We are all fans of you, all whiskey enthusiasts. If you want to interact with a AI model, I think Gemini is a clear winner
But
here.
I have to differ because DeepSeek servers are back. And if I had to recommend one whiskey for the rest of your life, it will be Lagavulin 16-year-old.
Ah, you're biased.
Yes.
You're biased.
So DeepSeek is my now go-to for.
But I think Gemini has more evolved palate. It likes rare,
Clearly,
exceptional
yes.
whiskies, which is Springbank 15.
And ChatGPT is still in their beginning stages
Yeah, I
of
think-
life with
yes.
Glenfiddich 12-year-old.
I think ChatGPT needs to consume and discover
Yeah.
more. Hang out with us.
ChatGPT needs to attend some of our tastings.
Yes.
With this, we come to the end of this battle of the 3 AI platforms. While it was fun, please send us more questions so that we can do a part 2 of this video. And if you have done this experiment at your end, let us know the different answers the platforms gave you.
Stay tuned for more such videos and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.